Hi, it's Trent Grimsey, the English Channel world record holder on the Physical Performance Show.
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go. Listeners, welcome to another episode of the Physical Performance Show, the show that takes you behind the scenes of how the world's top and most inspiring physical performers achieve their success, as well as their highs, their lows on the journey in getting there. This is a very significant episode, listeners, because this is the show's 1 year anniversary. That's all right, 1 year. Let's have a party. It's so easy to start things, and there's been weeks along the journey where things have popped up and there's been more pressure on certain weeks to get an episode up, live, recorded, ready for the great team that make this show possible every week. However, just like training, we've kept consistency as a maxim, we've abided by it, and here we are a year on in, and we are having a great time. I know I'm certainly enjoying bringing this to you, the faithful listeners, every week, and to you, the new listeners, great to also get in your earbuds. So a massive thank you to you, the faithful listener, who have made this show successful and possible. And here we are at the 1 year mark, and I believe we're just getting started with where we can go on this journey of physical performance. As always, today's show is lovingly brought to you by POGO Physio. We exist to help you perform at your physical best. And we do this through our industry-first, fixed price and unlimited access 2, 6 and 12-week finish line programs. We want everyone who walks through the doors of POGO to get what we call the high five moment at the end of their treatment, aka their finish line. We don't want you to come back. We want you to get there and get there in a remarkable fashion. We also don't want you to have to drop out of treatment halfway through care because you haven't been seen as regularly as you need to get a great result and back to your physical best, often citing financial restraints around treatment costs as the limiting factor. So we've thrown all that out the door, and we've said, you know what, for a fixed fee, we're going to give you unlimited access to us and our active rehabilitation services, which features state-of-the-art technology, including the Alta-G anti-gravity treadmill, the Galileo whole body vibration therapy machine, and also, of course, extensive clinical Pilates. So now you can be seen as much as you truly need to get a great result, and not just seen on the basis of what you can afford. They're worlds apart in terms of paradigms, and we've found that they're worlds apart in terms of the results that they achieve, the finish line programs for our clients. If you'd like to find out more about POGO's industry-first finish line programs, jump over to pogophysio.com.au and you'll find all the information you need there. At the 1 year mark, a massive thank you to the listeners of the show who have left reviews on iTunes for this program. What that does is it helps iTunes index us so it's more visible as a program in the eyes and the earbuds, if you like, of listeners. So we have regularly been featured inside the top 100, often at times inside the top 20 fitness and nutrition podcasts on iTunes, which I think for a show in its first year, we've done really well. So I'm highly appreciative of those that have left a review. And if you're yet to leave a review and planning to leave a review, simply jump over to iTunes, click ratings and review, and rate away. 1 star if you're not fussed with what the program's about or the way it's delivered. 5 stars if you're really enjoying it and getting a lot out of it. I'd be appreciative of that. So if you can make the moment to do that, that'd be awesome. This week, I just wanted to highlight a review from Just Claire Bear. And Claire Bear rated the program 5 stars. Glad I found this podcast, Claire writes on the ratings and review on iTunes. Claire goes on to reference the fact that I'm a girl who has been attempting to run for a year now. While I am slowly improving, I still let self-doubt and a negative mindset ruin some of my runs. Listening to this podcast is helping me to think more positively. I love hearing the stories of all the amazing athletes on this show. I use the stories as a kick in the backside to train a little bit harder and have recently discovered the power of a good mantra. Would not have started this mind shift if it weren't for this podcast. Thank you for helping me become better. Claire, that is an absolutely amazing review, and one that really moves me and encourages me to continue to bring the program out each week. And that's really what this is about. This show is about inspiring you, the listener, to perform at your physical best. And we do that through the generosity of the guests who so generously and openly share around their insights and their learnings, the highs and the lows and everything in between. So Claire, that's significant to receive that review on the 1 year anniversary of the program. A massive thank you to you. And do, Claire, keep up the journey, and feel free to drop me a message anywhere over on social. I'd love to connect with you. So Claire, thanks for taking the time to leave that review. Listeners, if you missed last week's episode 51, featuring triathlon extraordinaire Richard Murray, then be sure to jump back and listen in to Richard's story. Richard took us through the genesis of his incredible triathlon success, which just recently culminated in the victory in the inaugural Super League Triathlon Series held on the iconic and beautiful Hamilton Island. And Richard shares how he got started in the sport, where he's going with the sport. He takes us into his 2 Olympic campaigns, 2012 and also Rio 2016, where he finished very fastly in 4th place, just missing a medal, outrunning on that day Alistair Brownlee, the Olympic triathlete, in terms of a run split, Olympic champion, in terms of his run split. And Richard shares around where he's going with the sport and some really good insights into training and getting the most out of ourselves. So if you missed episode 51, be sure to jump back and tune on in to that episode and let me know what you take out of it, and also Richard. Listeners, today you're in for a real treat. Back on episode 44, we featured Chloe McArdle, who did that incredible triple English Channel crossing. Well, today's guest has also a bit of English Channel crossing memorabilia, and that is the world record crossing. So today's guest is none other than Trent Grimsey. Trent is a remarkable athlete who swam a remarkable career. Trent's now enjoying retirement. However, Trent's still very much engaged and involved in the world of ultra swimming and endurance swimming with his business, which he shares details of throughout this episode, where he regularly takes swimmers to the English Channel to conduct crossings with them. But Trent's bio is very, very impressive. He was a dual Australian swim team member, swimming in the 2012 and also, swimming in the 2009 and also the 2011 World Swimming Championships in the 10 kilometre and also the 25 kilometre events. Trent then went on in 2012 to set the world record for the English Channel crossing. Trent crossed it in a remarkable 6 hours and 55 minutes, taking 2 minutes off the former record held by Bulgarian Peter Stoichev. And when you hear Trent's story about how close it was, it's quite remarkable after 34 kilometres of swimming at an incredible pace to be so close to that record. In this episode, Trent takes us into the world of pool swimming, where he started before he ventured over to the open water world. Trent takes us through missing out on the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games qualification process in the 1500 metres, where he finished 3rd at the Australian trials held in Sydney. Trent takes us through the hardest training session he's ever done, which will leave you with your mouth on the floor, as it did mine. And he takes us through his passion for swimming and all the insights that you want to know about in terms of how does someone swim so fast for so long. So you're going to really enjoy this episode of the Physical Performance Show, the 1 year anniversary episode. Let's make a splash with Trent Grimsey. Listeners, joining me on the call today, I've got the absolute pleasure of speaking with Trent Grimsey. Trent is really, when we talk about fish, Australians producing a lot of fish, Trent has to be one of the finest fish that Australia's ever produced. As per the bio, the fastest ever English Channel crossing, and a man that has achieved pretty much everything that there is to achieve in terms of open water and marathon swimming. So Trent Grimsey, absolute pleasure to have you on the show, mate.
Thanks, Brad. Mate, thanps for inviting me on.
I'd like to start, Trent, with something a little bit curly out of the gates, and that's what's something that scares Trent Grimsey.
I'm going to say sharks.
Sharks. And, mate, has that fear ever been founded? Have you had any close encounters of the shark kind?
Mate, I haven't yet, so touch wood. But no, to date I've never seen one when I've been out swimming. So yeah, pretty thankful.
And I mean, what's some of the scariest places you've swum in, Trent? You've swum in pretty much the waters all around the world, right? Yeah,
I think probably the scariest race I ever did was the Robben Island swim. So it's that little island where Nelson Mandela was in prison for about 25 years. So we swam from there to the mainland. It was only like 7.5 kilometres, but the water was 11 degrees. And obviously it's a great white shark breeding ground over there. That's probably got to this day. Like, I look back on all the races I did, and that's probably the one I talk about the most.
Geez, so out of all the races, I've got to ask, what were you doing over there, Trent? And what were you doing jumping in great white breeding ground water?
Yeah, well, look, they had this, it was a new race at the time. They wanted to try and get some big names of open water swimming over there. So they had quite a lot of prize money they put out for grabs. So they had $10,000 winner take all. And that kind of got all the big names of open water swimming to that race. And it was pretty cool racing all the top open water swimmers in the world.
Mate, and so that was the Sharks' philosophy too. Winner takes all, mate.
It's pretty tough. I got second in that. I got second. So
did you take away a bit of prize money?
No. I got my flights paid for and accommodation. That was it.
Thanks mate. And a great memory, hey? Out of all the swims you've done, that's the most memorable by the sounds of it. And what 7.5 Ks? I like how you say it was a sort of shorter race, because in your world that is kind of short, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 7.5 kilometre race. It's only about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Most of my races, especially towards the end of my career, were up around like 7, 8, 9 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a drop in the ocean. How many swimmers were in that race? Have they ever had it again, or was it a one-off thing they did?
No, I think they still run it. Yeah, each year they don't have the prize money anymore, so they don't get the big names. But yeah, they're still. People still go and they do have that race every year. So, Trent, out of your very impressive bio, what would you rate as your single greatest swimming accomplishment, if you could pick just one? Oh, that's a really tough one. Like, I think I've got quite a few for, like, obviously you like different races for different reasons, but I'm going to have to say the English Channel. I think I look back on my career and that's something, probably definitely the most proud of. Obviously, when you want something so bad, you dream of something for so long, and when you do achieve it, it is pretty special. So I'm going to have to say that's probably my biggest achievement of my whole swimming career. Let's dig deep a little bit around this record-breaking English Channel swim, Trent. And listeners, we will hook up a great YouTube video that I watched earlier today of Trent setting this record, and it's pretty amazing. You got to see it to really get a sense of what Trent achieved. But Trent, my understanding, it was your first English Channel crossing. You were planning on doing a double crossing. You just happened to get across to the other side, which is not a small distance. It's 34 kilometres in a record time, taking 2 minutes off the previous record. So 6 hours 55 minutes. Take us through, mate, the lead up to this. What sparked the interest to even have an attempt at trying to break the record? How did it all start? Your fascination with this, the English Channel. Yeah, very good question. I guess I kind of grew up swimming. I kind of grew up swimming. I had 2 younger brothers and an older sister, and our parents just wanted us, I guess, to be able to swim so they could take us to the beach and not really have to worry about us. And I guess, look, I just really swam because my sister did and slowly moved up the ranks. It was actually 2008 Olympic trials. I just missed the Olympic Games and the 1500 freestyle, so I placed third behind it was Grant Hacken and Craig Stevens.
So I got under the A qualifying time, but wasn't in the top 2, so it was a little bit frustrating. And it was at that same time that marathon swimming, I just found out, had become an Olympic sport. So I just thought, why not give marathon swimming a go? See, at least I'll commit 12 months to it. If I get some good results, I'll stick with it. If not, I can always come back over to pool swimming. 2009, that was the year I decided to commit to marathon swimming, open water swimming, and just see how it went. And in that year, I got some awesome results. I won races. I look back now and I think there's no way I should have won those races. But I think it was good in a way. I kind of came from that pool background, where a lot of marathon swimmers don't come from that pool background. So I had a lot of speed that those guys didn't have. And, I was very fortunate in that way. And that's kind of how I got involved with marathon swimming. But in terms of why the English Channel, I think it's every marathon swimmer's dream to swim in the English Channel. It's like the pinnacle of our sport. I guess it's like Kona for the Ironman.
It's the pinnacle. It's the granddaddy, right?
It is. So it's and marathon swimmers. You don't only want to swim the English Channel. You want to do you want to hold the world record.
If you're Trent Grimsey, you do. Yeah.
It's when I found out about the English Channel. It's actually 2009. It was in Italy. I was at World Championships, and I heard some other guys in the marshalling area talking about the English Channel, and that kind of got me thinking, I'd love to swim the English Channel. I didn't even know I didn't know what time of year you could swim. I didn't really know anything about it, how far it was. So when I came home from that trip, I guess I Googled the English Channel and kind of wrote down everything I needed to know about it, and I signed up after that.
How old were you at that stage? This stage, Trent? Years.
I was 21 when I signed up to swim the English Channel, but I booked it for 3 years' time. So I guess allow myself enough time to, put in the training to do, acclimatise to cold water. I was very skinny. I went from, I was 75 kilos.
Yep.
So obviously the English Channel's, it's 34 kilometres in. It can be anywhere from 13 to 18 degree water. So, I was very skinny at the time, so I knew I needed to put on a little bit of weight and try and acclimatise to cold water as best as I could in that 3 years.
So over that 3 years, Trent, started at 75 kilos, racing, in the pool, 1,500 metres, doing an A qualifier for Olympic Games, but Australia only taking 2 swimmers through to Beijing. So obviously deep frustration and I guess disappointment there, change of direction. You were weighing 75 kilos, wringing wet, literally. What were you then weighing by the time you tackled the English Channel 3 years later? Because, obviously you need a bit of insulation.
Yeah, definitely. So I got, it was about 6 months before I swam the Channel, I put on the weight. So I went from, the day I swam the English Channel was 85 kilos. So I put kind of 10 kilos on. It was about 6 months before I swam.
Yep.
Obviously, the bigger you are in cold water, the bigger you are, the warmer it's going to keep you. Obviously, the skinnier you are, the more you get affected by the cold water.
Yep.
I put on about 10 kilos. Oh, look, I ended up seeing all these nutritionists and dietitians, and I tried to do it like a healthy way and just eat the right food, but more of it. But you got to remember, I was swimming like 100 kilometres a week back then, so I just couldn't even keep weight on. Like I was actually trying to put weight on, but I kept losing weight. So yeah. I ended up talking to a guy, John Van Wise, down in Melbourne. He swam the Channel a couple of times. He's a little bit of a legend in Australian marathon swimming, and he gave me some good advice. He said he went to McDonald's and that's kind of how he put on his weight. And so after trying all these healthy diets and all these healthy ways to put on the weight, I couldn't. I just ended up going to McDonald's every day for a month, and I ended up putting on the 10 kilos pretty quickly.
Oh, mate, so they didn't come along and sponsor you in the end?
Nah, look, I wish they did, but I had to fund every one of those meals.
Yeah, well, there you go. So if you want to put on 10 kilos, just head to McDonald's for a month and you'll be right. But, as you say, energy in, energy out. The energy out was unbelievable. 100 Ks a week of swimming. A lot of my professional work in the physio consulting room, Trent's working with runners, and, 100K a week consistently for runners is a solid volume. So 100K a week in swimming really would put you in the most minuscule, volume, that any swimmer could sort of consistently push out. There's, very few guys or girls for that matter able to, tolerate that. So how many weeks or months would have you been sitting around the 100 Ks a week volume for, Trent, leading into it?
Yeah, so look, I did most of it was probably 12 months, probably 12 months out when I've swam big K, I guess my whole swimming career. I never really had the talent a lot of my competitors did, Brad, so I had to kind of think outside the box a little bit. I had to do something my competitors weren't willing to do. So I knew I could train twice as hard as anyone I line up against come race day. So that was one of my strengths. So that's what I kind of used to my advantage. And yeah, it's like the further I swam, it's the faster I got. So
wow.
Yeah, I guess 12 months out, I really started my everything I did. My training was to purely swim a fast English Channel. Obviously, we don't have the cold water or in Brisbane where I'm from, so I ended up leaving Australia. It was 2 months before I swam the English Channel, and I actually did a different marathon each weekend for that 8 weeks leading up to when I swam the English Channel.
And when you say marathon, Trent, you mean 10 Ks?
The shortest marathon was 15 kilometres. The longest one was, I think, 56 kilometres.
All in the lead up to the big day.
Up to the big day, yeah. Wow. So I was getting some big kilometres in then as well.
Yeah, wow. So this is 8 weeks out. Were you allowing a taper period there, Trent, or going sort of right up to the line?
Yeah, so with the big marathons, like you do the marathon on the weekend, then you'll still spend the next kind of 4 or 5 days just trying to recover. So, like you do the big 30-kilometre marathon on the weekend, then you'd spend the next few days just doing probably 2 or 3K a day. So you weren't doing too much. I guess it was all about that marathon each weekend and trying to recover as best you could, because with marathon swimming you can't just expect to swim one marathon. You've almost got to adapt your body to swimming marathons. And all those marathons I did, well, most of the marathons I did, they're all in cold water as well, which is exactly what I needed.
Yeah, so you were, and were you pushing yourself in these, or were you just ticking the arms over and using them as training?
Oh no, I was pushing. Yeah, I was pushing pretty hard because it was part of the. FINA is our governing body for marathon swimming, the same as pool swimming. So they have the FINA, the Grand Prix championships. So all these races were part of the Grand Prix series. So they works on a bit of a point system, and at the end, whoever's got the most points is ranked number one. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to perform really well in all of those marathons, and I ended up finishing the year with the number one world ranking in that Grand Prix series.
Yeah, wow. And this was all around that 2012 leading. Well, 2012 was your record in the channel. But
yeah.
Were you looking to maybe try and make the Australian team for open water for the London Olympics, or was that not on your radar, Trent? You'd sort of
Nah, that was on my radar. That absolutely was on my radar, and that's kind of why I booked in September 2012 to swim the channel, because I thought, well, I'll be in London anyway, doing the 1500 or the open water. But look, things didn't turn out the way I would have liked them to. So, and look, when I did miss that London Olympic team for the open water, I just kind of decided that the English Channel, I'd make that my own personal Olympics, and yeah, and that's what I was going to use as my big goal for 2012.
Right, so that was going to be your substitute Olympics. What did go wrong for the London campaign? Because clearly you're in some outstanding form, and we haven't finished with English Channel, Trent, but just a slight lane change. What happened in your campaign for London, mate?
And I was swimming really well. 2009, I won Open Water World Champs. 2010, I won World Champs, and it was set to 2011. So they got a bit of an unusual way to pick the Olympic Open Water team. I ended up getting pretty sick just before we had our trials. So I had Ross River fever. I was out for a couple of months, and then I think I started training probably 2 months before Olympic trials, and I thought I had enough time, but look, it turns out I didn't. I had probably turning that last can. I still remember it. It hurts. It hurts still. Turning the last can, so there's a kilometre to the finish. I think I had probably a 50-metre lead. And I remember thinking, yes, I've got this. And then with about 100 metres to go, two guys pulled up either side of me, and I thought, I'm in a bit of trouble here. So, look, I placed third in that race, and they took the top two.
Who were the two that took the top two, Trent, that day?
It was Reece Mainstone and Reece Mainstone. I'm pretty sure it was Jared Porpoises. Yeah, was the second one.
Yeah, right. So Jared and Reece.
Yeah, sorry, it was Jared because he went on to swim at London. Oh no, it was Kai.
I was going to say
Kai.
Yeah, because Kai's been a previous guest on the show, and we focused on his Oracle Team USA duties. But so Kai and Reece or Jared, Jared or.
No, it's Reece Mainstone.
Reece,
yeah, Jared only came good just after the Olympic. Well, he raced there in the 1500.
Yep, and so valiantly took it out in Rio, didn't he? Just a side note, off the front there in Rio, it was young Jared. So, so London off the radar, focuses English Channel. Let's jump back over the English Channel lane, Trent. So you're in good form. You've been knocking out these races, going well, going hard. From the video I've seen, and we'll pop this up for listeners, it looks like conditions, which, you really need to... You can be fit, right, from what I know of the attempts to cross the channel, but you need to have the elements come together as well. How did that all play out for you? What was the morning like? Did you sleep the night before? What happened?
Yeah, that's right. Like with the English Channel, there's so many variables. So all you got to do is try and put everything you can in your favour, Brad. You just got to be as fit as you can, and it's almost prepare for the worst, hope for the best type scenario. Look, I was fortunate. I had a really good day when I swam the channel. I think I left at about 7 o'clock in the morning, which is great because there's a lot of people. Most people have to swim in the dark at some point of their crossing. But I started at 7 in the morning. Look, I think that it was probably the first hour and a half. The last hour and a half was pretty flat. I think there was probably like the 3 hours in the middle. It did get a little bit lumpy. But yeah, look, I'm looking back and I get goosebumps now just thinking about like how lucky I was to get the conditions I did on the day.
I mean, the video, that looks quite amazing. It looks quite surreal. It looks like initially I know it's not like that when you're out there in the water. It's far from it, but relatively calm. And you're standing on the beach. And is it Dover that you start on? Is that the side you started?
Yeah. So there's a little beach called Shakespeare Beach that you start from. So it's the shortest point in England to the shortest point in France. So it's 34 kilometres. But obviously, with the tides going backwards and forth, you swim a little bit further than that.
Yeah, and so you're standing there, and I just think it's epic. You got your support crew ready on the boat, and the hooter sounds, and off you go, and every second counts. So you're straight into it, mate, and stroking pretty hard. What I wanted to ask is, Trent, I know for example, running marathons, the perception might be that it's a marathon, so you're kind of taking it easy, yet you're really just sitting below threshold for as long as you can, give or take a little bit of percentage of output. What percentage of output? I mean, I was trying to do the crude math, and I think I'm a fair way off, but, your 100-metre split times over that sort of distance for that end time would have been about what, Trent?
Oh, it's a 112 pace per 100.
Mate, I just cannot fathom that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and obviously nor can anyone else because no one's ever swum that fast. 112 pace. So what percentage of exertion did that feel like, say, for the first of the 34 Ks? Let's break it down into thirds. So the first third of the race, how are you feeling knocking out back-to-back 112 pace? If you had to put a percentage around the output, what would have you been sort of feeling? Exertion.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, look, the first hour, it's funny you ask that question because I remember starting to swim. I remember thinking, well, hang on, how fast do I swim here? But I kept asking myself each hour, is this pace maintainable? If the answer was no, I'd slow it down a little bit. If I thought the answer was yes, it is maintainable, I'd try and speed it up a little bit. But because that first hour just felt really good. Like as soon as I took my first stroke, I just knew I was going to swim. I knew it was going to be a good swim. But look, that first hour, I'd probably say it felt like a 6 out of 10.
Yep.
And then I actually had a crew. So when you swim the channel, you have obviously your friends and family and supporters on the boat, and they held up a sign saying, Trent, you're 3 minutes under the record. And when I saw that sign, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm still kind of just warming up. So I thought I'll pick up the pace a little bit.
How far in were you at this stage? You got the sign from your...
I was an hour. Okay. Yeah, I was an hour in. So every hour they held up a sign to let me know how I was going in regards to the record.
Yep, so keep going. This is great. Yep.
And the second hour, well, I thought after the first hour, I'm 3 minutes under. I thought, well, I can definitely pick up the pace. So I picked up the pace to probably what felt like maybe 7 out of 10. And then after the second hour, they held up a sign saying, Trent, you're 5 minutes under the record. And I thought, this can't be happening.
Wow. What pace were you swimming? Still 112s or a little bit faster 110s maybe?
Look, I think well, obviously I did start to fatigue a little bit at the end. It's too hard to tell.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. So you're 2 hours in, 4 hours to go?
2 hours in, 5 minutes under.
Yep.
And I thought, well, I'm still feeling all right here. I can probably pick up the pace again. So after the third hour, a crew had up a sign saying, Trent, you're 7 minutes under the record. And at this point, I don't know, I just didn't know what to think. I almost thought they were joking. I almost thought they were lying. And I thought, again, I feel like I can still pick up the pace. So I tried to pick up the pace again. Then after the fourth hour, the sign still said 7 minutes under. And I thought, well, I haven't gained any, haven't lost any either, so that's not too bad. And then I think it was the next hour, I kind of fell into a little bit of a hole, Brad. Just mentally, I just kind of started to lose it mentally because I thought, like, I just swam the last 2 hours super fast and I hadn't really put any more into the time. So at the fifth hour, I was still 7 minutes under. And from that fifth to the sixth hour, I was just in a pretty bad way. Like, I'd lost it mentally, and when you lose it mentally, you lose it physically as well. So my stroke had gone out the door. Yeah, everything was annoying me. Like, I was starting to get a few fumes from the back of the boat. When I was breathing, I could start to smell them. Like, I remember I even stopped swimming at one point, and I said to the people on my boat, like, I got mad at them because they weren't cheering for me. So your mind plays games on you.
What did you say?
Oh, to my supporters.
Yeah.
Oh, it was something like, how about you start cheering or something like, I don't know, it's just something stupid like that, trying to be a smart ass.
But isn't it fascinating? I find it amazing. You strike me as a pretty, calm, obviously clearly focused guy, but not necessarily a guy with a temper, but at extreme levels of exertion over a long period of time. It's funny how anger can kick in as an emotion. So so you're in this hole, you're trying to dig yourself out of it. What's your self-talk like? Like, what are you saying to yourself? You've just come off the back of 4 really good hours where you're building under record time, feeling good. Then you said your stroke went out the door. For non-swimming listeners, like, what were you feeling with your body when you say your stroke went out the door? What do you mean, and what was going through your head?
Arms just get really heavy, and it's just hard, like, to get your arms out of the water. I guess it's almost like I watched a video. It almost looks like my left arm's kind of just skimming across the water. Look, everything was hurting.
The fumes, were you chafed?
Yeah, I did have real bad chafe, actually. Like, the swimsuit I wore, it was actually a little bit too tight. So I was getting, obviously, I wore jammers, so it's from the hip to the knee. And it's like it was cutting my blood circulation off around my, just above my knee. Right. I've still got some permanent scars from my swimsuit.
Wow.
But yeah, so everything, I was just in a world of hurt. So I'm fortunate that I did have a really good support crew on my boat, and they kind of helped me. They kind of pulled me out of that hole, which is pretty good. It was good timing because I think had I been in there any longer than I was, I probably would be here talking to you about how I was the second fastest person to swim the channel.
Yeah, that's not as exciting, is it? So so you're down now to the last hour. You've been in the hole. Your cheer squad's taken your challenge to start cheering a bit more. I suspect I'd probably cheer in the same, but it's just that your sensitivity was getting less as you were going further and further into the pain cave.
I'd say that's probably it too. Yeah, but that last hour, I think obviously the land was a lot closer, and I could see my supporters on the boat getting excited, and they have a big whiteboard, so they're holding up motivational quotes on the whiteboard as well. And
what sort of quotes? Can you remember any of them?
I actually writ them a list of quotes. Like, I'm highly motivated. It doesn't take much to motivate me, so I wrote down a list, even just one words. that kind of meant something to me at the time, and I got them to write them down. Every 5 minutes they changed the quote or the word they wrote on the board.
Can you remember what any of them were, Trent?
I'm probably a little bit embarrassed about it now. So what was some of them? Well, Steve Prefontaine was one of my big, one of my sporting heroes. So just a lot of his quotes.
What did you like about Steve Prefontaine, the great US American track star? What did you like about Steve? I mean, you're a swimmer. Steve was a runner.
He just kind of did his own thing. Didn't care what people think. He loved going out hard, and he's like, catch me if you can. Yeah, I don't know, just something about him. It's definitely just motivated me, and so I had a lot of his quotes in there that were getting written up on the whiteboard.
Yep, and you said single words. What were the single words? Any recollection of those?
I think just probably my family names. Like just Australia, like just seeing that, that kind of motivated me. Just simple words like that, like even my last name.
Powerful.
Yeah. Powerful,
mate. So you got the signs going. What were you fueling yourself with? Gels, bananas, what
so had Gatorade mixed with Endura carbohydrate gels.
Yep.
I was feeding, I think it was every 20 minutes I was feeding. So every 20 minutes my coach would hang over the side of the boat, he'd blow a whistle, and when I heard the whistle I knew it was feed time, and I'd grab the cup, drink as fast as I could, and then keep swimming. So the feeds only take around like 3 or 4 seconds, because obviously with the tides running as strong as they do up and down the channel, like the longer you remain stationary, the more you'll kind of get moves off the track. You got to try and keep those feeds fast. So I guess you'd just keep your momentum moving forward.
You'd knock it down and off you'd go. Like, just one thing I haven't ever considered, how big's the landing area that you're trying to aim for on the other side of the crossing? You said it was a small beach over Dover, but how big what do you got, like a kilometre stretch or a couple of 100 metres? And when can you see it? 2 questions. When can you actually see land when you're in the water? And secondly, how big's this bit of turf that you're aiming for on the other side at France?
Yeah, well, it's a whole French coast, so there's no wherever you finish, you finish. There's no there's a lighthouse. So it's called Cape Grimsey. I think Cape Grimsey it's called.
It's been renamed Cape Grimsey now, I think.
So that's the shortest point. So that's where everyone wants to end up. But I mean, I've seen swimmers that have ended up like 30 kilometres north.
Wow!
Like it's. Yeah, wherever you end up, you end up.
Wow.
And like when you swim the channel too, it's or when I swim the channel, I was breathing to my right hand side the whole time. So I didn't really sight. The only time I sighted was probably the last 100 metres. When I was kind of looking for what rock I was going to get up on. But yeah, I was just breathing to my side. So the boat you have next to you does the sighting, and they dictate and will determine what line you take. So you just
put your head down.
The swimmer just puts their head down and just follows that boat.
Wow, mate, that's incredible. And so you didn't really look for land until the last 100 metres or so. And wow. And so Trent, you're inside the last hour. How did that play out? I mean, you got the record by 2 minutes. Were you aware that this was going to be close in that last hour?
Oh yeah, I was because I think that last hour, I think. My coach, I can't remember the exact numbers, he held up a sign saying, Trent, you've got to swim 3K in under this time. And I knew that was the record. And then remember it was like you got to swim 1,500 in under X amount of time. And I remember just trying to do the sums in my head thinking, okay, so what's that per 100? And then it got down to like 400 in under 8 minutes. And I kind of knew then, I think I knew then that I'd had it.
Yeah, okay. And can you remember approximately what the 1,500 metre split was you had to come in?
Oh, I think it might have been like under, I had to swim 1,500 and under, it might have been like 20 minutes or something like that.
And I mean, your PB in the pool, out of interest, what was your PB in the pool for 1,500 metres?
15:12.
Yeah, okay, so 15:12. So it should be normally well within your limits, but you haven't mind that normally swum another 30-something Ks beforehand. So you're within the last 400, you feel like you got it. What was going through your head when you hit the rock on the other side in France?
Yeah, well, it's real funny because no one really tells you what to do when you get to the other side. So It's not the sandy beach. Like I kind of had in my mind there'd be like a white beach with kids running around, people sunbaking, and but it wasn't like that at all. So there was just kind of where I ended up finishing. There was just kind of big cliffs, and at the bottom of the cliffs they had these really big boulders. And yeah, I meant the last 100 metres, kept kind of looking up, thinking, okay, which one looks like it's going to be easy to climb. And like when you've been swimming for so long, and then you try and stand up, it's probably the hardest thing when you've been like swimming for 7 hours and then try and stand up, or even try and climb up, like use your arms and legs. It's just ridiculously hard. So I reckon I must have wasted about 30 seconds trying to get up on top of this rock. And then once I did, I put both hands in the air and I heard a siren from my boat. So the boat, it doesn't come all the way in. It gets a little bit too shallow, so it stops a couple of 100 metres off the beach. So you just swim that last kind of 100 or 200 by yourself. And I remember when I got up on my rock and I put my hands in the air, heard the siren, I thought, well, what now? I kind of looked around. I thought maybe there'd be some reporters or something, some TV crew, but I saw a couple of sheep on top of the cliff, and that was it.
Wow, mate. So, but, you know, you knew you had it. You had the record. And as I mentioned before, we'll pop this YouTube clip in the show notes for listeners. Jump over to POGO Physio and see this and watch this. It's epic, though. The bit that I love, mate, is the emotion from your boat. You know, they're just hollering. It's really, really cool.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's I know the video you're talking about, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Everyone's pretty excited, and look, obviously doing something like, you know what it's like doing something like a big marathon like that. You really do need a good team around you. The team just makes it that much easier.
Yeah, that's so critical, isn't it? And then so Trent, beyond this record, obviously it garnered a lot of attention for you. Incredible feat. I mean, the English Channel has a special place in the Australian sporting psyche. Is there one or two really cool spin-offs of that accomplishment, being the fastest ever English Channel crossing swimmer? And I mean, we've previously caught up with Chloe McArdle on the program, and Chloe's obviously made the multiple crossings. But what was one of the really cool things that happened off the back of your record crossing, Trent?
What's one of the cool things? I guess I was able to start a business with my brother. And now I actually coach quite a few athletes to swim the English Channel. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of given me a little bit of credibility in terms of being able to coach athletes myself now across the channel. So that's pretty cool. In terms of perks or anything like that, I was on the Today Show the day after I swam the channel, but I'd say that's about it. Like marathon swimming, it's not heaps of sponsors. You do marathon swimming for the love of the sport, not the money in the sport. And that's why I kind of decided after I'd swam my English Channel that I'd probably had enough, and there was other things I wanted to do in life. It was probably a month after I swam the channel I decided to probably call it quits.
And that was, around, 2012, 2013, I believe, 2013. Has there been any regrets looking back? I mean, you're still very young in years, born in 88, or you feel like there's nothing you left behind. You gave your swimming career everything that you had, no regrets.
Yeah, look, I got no regrets at all, to be honest. I think had I probably not gotten the record for the English Channel, I probably would have had a lot of regrets. Not regrets, but I wouldn't have been able to look back on my career and been satisfied.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm definitely satisfied with everything I was able to achieve. And there's no way when I was a kid I would have ever thought, like, obviously you have dreams of being like being a top athlete, but you never, I don't know, like there's a little part of you that kind of thinks it's never going to happen.
So that was a question I was going to ask. Could have you ever imagined that, you'd one day be the English Channel, record holder? But obviously it's something you're not born necessarily with. You have the talent, but you've got to nurture it, right, with a lot of hard work.
Yeah, that's it, absolutely. But look, I'm just really lucky. Had a really good coach, had a team of really good coaches, had obviously my family. Like I lived at home until I was 24. Like they supported me, and every time I got home from training, Mum had bacon and eggs cooked for me on the table. So it was yeah, big team effort, and definitely couldn't have done it without them.
The fuel of champions, mate. The fuel of champions. Mate,
Yeah.
let's shift into a bit of a performance round. So just a bit of a quick fire back and forth here. What's the training session you most disliked or dislike? I mean, you're obviously still keeping fit now. So what's the training session, Trent?
Oh, I think there was one time I did 100 150s on the 145.
Hold on. That's got to let that sink in. 100 150s, 3 laps of the 50-metre pool on 145.
Yeah, so that's 110 time base for 15K. That was
Oh, my goodness.
Probably one of, I look back and I kind of think like, oh, how did I ever do that?
So what you were having, what sort of break between each rep of the 100 of those?
Oh, I was getting probably like 3 or 4 seconds. Not a lot.
Touch and go. And what time did you start the session and finish that session? 15 Ks of quality work.
I can't. Well, it was Saturday morning, so we started. I think Saturday mornings we started at 5, so it was probably a little bit over 3.5 hours it would have taken.
Yeah, wow. And was that something you just wanted to do as a bit of an out there memory thing, or was that strategically in your program?
Oh, nah, it's just something. Yeah, I just rocked up to training one day, and that's what my coach had on the whiteboard. So,
so you had no warning this was coming.
Oh, yeah, it was a warning. It was going to be a big session, but I knew it was going to be a 12, 13, 14, 15 kilometre session. But yeah, it wasn't exactly sure what it was going to entail.
Did anyone swim any of the reps with you?
Oh yeah, I had my brothers do it. Yeah, so my brothers had a couple of other training partners at the time.
Did Cody do the whole lot, the whole 100?
Yeah, I think he did it as well. Yeah, definitely, and it definitely made it easier having my brother as a training partner. No, it's good. I don't know, like obviously marathon swimming, it is a very lonely sport, so it is good to have training partners to share it with. Even just, I don't know, in the change room at the end of a session, just having someone to talk about the session with.
Mate, that you take the cake, mate. That's the most incredible training session I think I've ever heard. So, mate, let's move on. We stayed a while on that one, but we had to absorb it. Mate, the training session that you most love, what was that one?
Oh, look, I love a good set of 400s, to be honest. So, like 16 400s. I don't really like I just like keeping them on the one-time cycle. I don't really like 16 400s on 5 minutes. That was kind of my bread and butter. I used to love doing that type of stuff. But when you put one on like I don't know, when you put one on like 5 minutes, one on 4:30, that changing pace, that got pretty hard.
Hard to calculate, or just hard to deal with the physical?
Oh, just hard to, have to pick up your pace and drop it back down. I just like swimming that one pace, the whole of the session.
The whole session. Favourite pre-race meal, Trent?
Oh, always pasta. Yeah,
Pasta?
spaghetti bolognese. Yeah.
Is that what you fueled up in before the channel crossing?
Yeah, like a week out before I swam the channel. So I got to Dover a week before I swam the channel, and pasta was all I ate that whole week. It was kind of my last chance to put on weight, so I needed to make the most of it.
Yeah, no Maccas in the week before? No, mate. Bedtime, no bedtime and morning time. You mentioned we jumped on this 3:30 a.m. You're up this morning, and we're at the evening now. So what time during your peak training would have you been up in the water, bed at night?
Yeah, it's hard to remember now. It's like 4.5 years ago. I'm pretty sure we started training at 5:30, so I would have been up about 4:30, and training session of the morning was about 2.5 hours, and it was about 3 hours of an afternoon.
Yeah, and to bed by what time normally, if you can recall?
As soon as home and away finished, I was in bed. So 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yep. So you had to get your home and away dose and lights out, back at it the next day. Beautiful, mate. Who's the athlete that Trent Grimsey most admires and why? And you can say yourself, because after swimming 100 150s, mate, I think you deserve that. It's definitely not myself. There's a guy called, obviously Steve Prefontaine, and there was another guy, a great British swimmer called David Davies, and he was another guy that went from the pool to marathon swimming. He ended up getting second in, it was Beijing, and I just really liked the guy. I just really liked the way this guy raced. He just kind of he had a really high stroke rate like me, and I guess he was another one of my sporting heroes. David Davies. Who's the toughest competitor you ever raced and why? Trent?
Toughest competitor I ever raced. I'm going to say Cody, my brother. I'm going to say Cody, and why was he tough to beat? Just because we obviously swam with each other like 10, 11 times a week, so he kind of knew all my strengths and all my weaknesses. And he kind of trying to exploit them. Whereas all my other competitors, I tried to kind of hide my weaknesses. But there was no hiding my weaknesses around Cody. He knew what they all were, so he was probably the hardest, my toughest competitor.
Yeah, nice. Well, mate, big g'day to Cody. And, mate, was there a mantra that you would regularly use when you were racing? Self-talk mantra?
Yeah, I did used to say. So it just depends what mood I was in to what I used to say. But, yeah, I was a big believer in mantras. And every day, actually, I can remember every day when I used to swim, I used to wake up. I used to say, it's a beautiful day. It's great to be alive. That was something, I don't know, every morning I woke up, I used to always say it to myself. Yeah. But yeah, look, when I was swimming, even swimming the channel, I had some mantras. I can't really remember what they are now, and even singing songs to myself too, like just kind of a lyric to a song that kind of motivates me as well.
You didn't need to remember the mantras, mate. They were written on the board for you, remember?
Well, exactly.
No, mate. Recovery tip. And now as a coach, obviously we're going to cover your coaching stuff in a moment here, but best recovery tip for athletes, Trent?
Oh, look, I think recovery is probably one of the most important things. And looking back, to be honest, in my preparation, I probably would have, I think recovery is probably something I could have done a little bit better. Obviously stretching and injury prevention, but even just sleep too. Like if you're not getting the proper sleep, and you're swimming 100K a week, I mean, you're going to end up injured or sick. It's just a matter of time. So I reckon like stretching, massage, physio, and sleep is just so important. And I think it kind of is underrated. A lot of athletes, they train really hard, they eat really well, but I think the kind of recovery kind of gets left by the wayside sometimes.
And why do you think that is, Trent? Is it just that whole notion of more's better?
Look, I think it is, yeah. I think it definitely is. And I think people think, well, I'm a kind of swimmer foremost, so that's what, like I'm a marathon swimmer, I've got to spend all my time swimming. Yeah, the smart athlete knows recovery is just as important, and if you're not getting that proper recovery, you're not going to be able to make those kilometres count. But yeah, looking back, to be honest, that's like I'm a swimming coach now, and that's something I try and really express and force onto my athletes just how important that recovery is.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, a previous guest, I often allude to it, but Nick Willis, bronze medalist at the Rio Olympics, 1,500 metres on the track. And, Nick's, competitive advantage, he says, comes from when he's resting, because he knows that his competitors are often out there flogging themselves while he's resting. So it's a fascinating mindset, right? Trent, what's on the bucket list, mate, outside of sport now?
I guess just growing my business with my brother. Yeah, that's obviously all the time and effort he's put in my swimming now. I've kind of steered it towards my business now. So just trying to steadily grow that and just trying to help people better swim in open water. Just trying to teach them stuff I've picked up and learned along the way, and hopefully they can take something from it.
And listeners, we're going to hook up Trent's swim fit programs on the show notes, so jump over, but it's Grimsey's Adult Swim Fit. Trent, you do a lot, right? You do digital programs for people. I could be sitting in the US and get a program for you for a given event. You do open water training, obviously pool stuff, English Channel crossings. What else do you do, mate? It's a wide gamut of professional services, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We do open water swimming every fortnight up in Brisbane. We do it out at Sutton's Beach, so a big open water session. We get about anywhere from like 60 to 120 people on a weekend. So they're pretty big. We do video analysing as well, so we film people swim, give them feedback, and obviously our training programs. And we've got quite a few athletes. I've got quite a few athletes I'm coaching to swim in the English Channel, which is pretty exciting. I got 5 across last year, and this year I've got nine solo swimmers that are going to be giving it a crack. So I really enjoy that.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, and geez, they're getting some good advice from the record holder, right? Have you got any stories of success? Like, if you could pick one significant coaching success you've had in the last, 3-4 years of really focusing on your business and your swim fit programs, one story in particular that jumps out as a real success?
Oh, look, there's probably a lady called Carly Price. she attempted the channel a couple of years ago and didn't get across due to weather. She was only a couple of K from the coast, and they had to pull the pin because obviously it was a big storm that it just hit. So it's obviously pretty devastating for her. And she's a mother of 4 as well. But, she went back 2 years later. So she ended up swimming it last year, and she absolutely smashed it. She went 12 hours and 5 minutes. And she's a working mum. She's got 4 kids. It's pretty inspirational.
Wow, mate, that's incredible. Four children. I've got 2 children, mate, and finding time to do podcast episodes can be a challenge, let alone swimming the channel. So that's incredible. It must give you a real buzz, right, to see people achieve that moment for themselves.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I it's funny. I actually get just as excited when they get across as if it was me swimming. I probably even get more excited, to be honest. Each boat has a tracker on, so I'm at my computer screen watching that little dot go from England to France.
Wow. And so you can be anywhere in the world watching that tracker and seeing them do the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Technology, cool. Trent, if you could distill all your learnings from your years at elite level swimming into one bit of advice for physical performers across the board, what would it be? One bit of advice, one pearl of wisdom.
Oh, that's a really tough question. That's a really meaningful one, isn't it?
Mean and meaningful, yeah.
Look, I think just dream big, hey. Just dream big and don't stop. Yeah, it's a really tough one. Yeah, you're probably on the spot there.
No, dream big. I like it. Trent, if you could have dinner with 3 people, bit of a fun one, living or past, who would they be? Who'd be at that dinner table with you?
Who would they be? Good question. I'd probably say Steve Prefontaine and David Davies.
And yeah, right, and your most admired athlete. So there's 2. Who's the third person?
Who would the third person be? I'd say probably Cody as well, because I know Cody likes these guys too.
Oh, mate, you are an ultimate brother, aren't you? Hey, it's really cool. So Cody's on the table too. Trent, we like to have the guests of the program issue listeners a physical challenge for the week. It can be anything. It can be something entry level through to something really arduous. You could even issue the English Channel as a challenge, mate. What's the physical challenge that Trent Grimsey, record holder, English Channel crossing, is going to issue?
Look, I guess my challenge to everyone out there listening is go to a pool this week or even next week and just punch out a couple of 100 metres in the pool.
What, 200 metres?
Yeah, 200. Yep.
Mate, I might even have to take you up on that one, Trent. It's been about 4 years since I've done a swim session, so you might kickstart me.
No, definitely.
And Trent, and listeners, if anyone takes on the challenge, motivated by Trent's challenge, do drop us a note on social at Brad_beer across Twitter or Instagram. And Trent, where can listeners find out more about you on social, and then also your adult swim fit business, Grimsey's Adult Swim Fit? Yeah,
we just go online, grimsey'sadultswimfit.com. We've got all the information on there, and send us a message on the website, and we'll respond.
Fantastic. And handles, social media handles, Trent, we can obviously Google you, but if we want to go direct, it's what, at Trent?
Oh, I'm not big on social. I've got Facebook. I'm not really sure how all that works.
Mate, that's all right. Leave it to your tech team.
It's after the Instagram and Twitter and that type of stuff.
Mate, that's called wisdom, mate, delegating it out. So good. Stick to your competencies, of which there's many, mate. Good on you.
I'm good at emails, so shoot me emails.
We'll search it for you, Trent. Search for it and pop it in the show notes. So listeners, jump over there and check it out. Do check out the YouTube video. It's you can't help it. I had goosebumps watching it, and it's not because Trent was swimming through cold water. It's quite a moment. So really, I think one of the moments of Australian sport in folklore, but obviously it's something that you got to go searching for to find. So listeners, do jump over. Trent Grimsey, mate, you are an absolute superstar of Australian sport, international sport, and I just want to say thanks so much for coming on. And mate, I have no doubt you'll apply yourself like you did in the water to your business, and the swimming community is going to be richer for it.
Thanks a lot, Brad. Thanks for having me on the show, mate. I appreciate it.
You're a legend, mate. Cheers, Trent. All the best for 2017.
No problem, Brad. Speak soon, mate.
So, listeners, there you have it. Another episode of the Physical Performance Show. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did,
please let Trent Grimsey and myself know what your key takeaway was, what the key learning was, what you enjoyed about it over on our social media handles. That'd be fantastic. I can be found at Brad_beer, and Trent can be found over on the show notes where we've got all Trent's handles listed there and all the details you need around Trent, including today's show notes for the program. Be sure to jump over to the show notes where you can view the video of Trent's record-breaking English Channel crossing, including that description that Trent gave so well of trying to get it on the other side on the rocks. You'll see that and it will really put you there with Trent. Quite a remarkable moment where he broke that world record for the crossing. Be sure also to take on the challenge of the week set by Trent and to upload any videos or any feedback on the challenge on social media. An enormous thank you once again to you, the show listener, who has made this show possible. If it's your first time today, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Be sure to jump back through the archives of the first 51 guests that we've featured on the Physical Performance Show. If this is your 52nd time joining us, then thanks for support across the first year of the show. And stay tuned, listeners. We're going to have a whole lot of fun in the second year of the Physical Performance Show. We've got experts lined up, we've got coaches lined up for the program, and we've got obviously the continuation of the athletes and the world's most inspiring physical performers who share their stories, highs and lows. If you've got anyone, listeners, that you'd like to hear featured on the Physical Performance Show, be sure to let me know. Drop me a message on social at Brad_beer, or even over on email b.beer, B-W-E-R, at POGO, P-O-G-O, physio.com.au. I've had quite a few listeners who have already given suggestions for future guests, but if you've got someone in particular in mind, be sure to let me know, and I'll do my best to try and bring that guest to fruition for your enjoyment. If you'd like to get this show in your earbuds each week, be sure to hit subscribe on your device, and that'll automatically populate the episodes as they go live for you to enjoy. And lastly, if you're into running, you can now pick up your copy of my Amazon running and jogging bestseller, You Can Run Pain Free, over on Audible or iBooks. You Can Run Pain Free is also available in Kindle and paperback versions from Amazon.com and also at pogophysio.com.au inside of Australia. It's packed 340 pages, packed full of insights into enjoying injury-free running, and it's all based around a proven 5-step process that I've used for 11 years in helping runners enjoy injury-free running. So be sure to jump over and pick up your copy of You Can Run Pain Free if you're yet to do so, and you're looking to run at your best, that is. Coming up in next week's episode of the Physical Performance Show, episode 53, I caught up with Charlotte Perdue. Charlotte was out in Australia training with the Melbourne Track Club and Nick Beddoes' stable of athletes. And Charlotte and I spoke through her emerging success as one of Great Britain's best female endurance runners. Charlotte's recent success in the 2016 London Marathon saw her finish as the third amongst the British competitors in a time of 2 hours 32 minutes and 48 seconds, where Charlotte finished 16th place overall in the elite females race. Charlotte now firmly has her sights on the Commonwealth Games to be held here on the Gold Coast in 2018. And Charlotte takes us into the world of her junior years of athletics through to some track meets and obviously into the distanced running career that she is now enjoying. So it'll be a great interview whether you're a runner or not. You'll get a lot out of the insights shared by Great Britain's Charlotte Perdue on next week's episode of the Physical Performance Show. Until then, keep pursuing your physical best performance. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physical Performance Show.